Okay, so part 2, I'm going to build a face for our cactus and add in some other little details to give him a bit more character. So this is where we got to in the last video, and we're off to a good start. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with the eyes, and we're going to use a UV sphere. So Shift and A, Mesh, UV sphere. And I'm just going to set the segments on this down to 16. And we're going to pull this up and pull this forward and then scale it down. And let's start by moving this over on the y-axis and then pushing it back on the x. So it's into the face. I think we need to go a little bit more over. And we're going to go to our modifier stack and we're going to add in a mirror modifier. And we're going to use the cactus to mirror across. We're going to change that X to Y. So we've got 2 eyes. And maybe we want to go up just a little bit. So we're making a cartoony character here. Before we smooth this, I want to make the eyelids that go on top of the eye. So we're going to duplicate this and then right click to keep it in the same spot. And then we're going to hit the S key and make it bigger than the eyeball. And then we're going to tab into edit mode, and I just want to rotate the camera and go into X-ray mode, click off, and we're going to drag and select all of these. Maybe we're going to go one up above this actually. Hold on the Shift key, make sure you got all of those. And then hit X to delete faces, so we've just got this. And then if I hit the A key to select everything, and then the R key and the Y to rotate, and we're just going to tilt these eyeballs back a little bit. And you could also rotate them this way. We'll just pull those into slot. And then before we deselect, we're going to hit Alt and E and then choose Extrude Faces along normal. Just pull our mouse in so they've got a bit of thickness there. Great. Okay, so now we can right click on this and choose Shade Smooth. And we're going to apply our modifier on this one. So add modifier, search, subdivision surface, make that 2. And we're going to move that above. So let's give this a material. And we're going to use the cactus material we've got at the moment. But I'd like to make this a slightly different shade. So if we click on this button here, this will duplicate that material and it's now become Cactus 01. So let's make this cactus darker. And I'm just going to move my slider down a little bit. So we've got a slightly contrasting green. There we go. On the eyeballs, we're going to make a new material. I want to keep it white, but I want them to be shiny, so we're just going to drag the roughness down like that. And we'll name this eyeball 1. And then the next thing I want to do is duplicate this. So Shift and D, and then right click to keep it in the same spot. And we're going to turn off our mirror modifier. And then hit G and X to pull this forward, and S to scale it down. I want to make a nice big pupil. I'm going to flatten it, so we're going to use the SS and then scale it on the X so it's much flatter. And then push it back. So it's just poking through like that. And let's give it material so we can see it. And so we want to X this off and make a new material. And we'll call this eye pupil. So we want it to be black. And we're going to set the roughness really low again. And maybe we can go a little bit bigger on this. I'm just going to move it over on the y-axis. And just make sure that it's poking through cleanly like that. And then this is your choice. It's something that I like to do with my characters is to make a second, it's almost like a highlight. It gives it more of that like Japanese style. So we're just going to scale it down, put it onto the eye like that. You can decide if you want one of these in your design or not. And I'm going to select both of these and then hit Shift and D and move it over because we can't use the mirror modifier because they're not symmetrical. Okay. So we've got our cactus eye. Let's have a look at the mouth now. So we're going to start the mouth with a single plane. So Shift and A, Mesh and Plane. And we're going to move it up on the Z-axis. And I'm going to rotate it on the Y, 90 degrees. And then hit G and X to pull it forward so I can see it. And then we're going to move it up again. Then we're going to tab in and hit the 1 key, so we're selecting these vertices at the bottom, G and Z to move them up. Get our rough shape in, And then we're going to put a loop cut here and run here. And then we'll select both of these and scale it on the y-axis. And so we want to select everything with the A key and scale it some more. And let's apply a modifier now and see how it looks. So we'll apply our subdivision. Okay, not a bad start. We'll put that on 2. That's kind of mouse shaped. Maybe I want this to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, something like that, I think. And we're going to hit the A key, select everything, and then E to extrude back. And we're going to pull that back. And then use our tab key to go into object mode. G to move it back on so it starts to sink in. And let's right click to shade smooth. I'm going to put it forward a little bit more and then, yeah, I think that's working. Okay, so now we're going to make an inset. So we're going to select these faces and then hit I to inset. And then we're going to extrude it back on the E. Just until it starts to cut through the face. So you might need to move it back on the G. And then I want to put some, with that still selected, we're going to hit I again and make a very small inset. It might be hard to see like this, so let's just turn off our subdivision, turn off our X-ray, and we're going to make an inset now. So you just want to give it a new edge in there. And whilst we're here, let's put a loop cut in here and here to just define that edge a bit, and turn our subdivision back on again. Cool, so we've got a kind of cartoony mouth, and we're going to just turn off subdivision for a second, and apply our darker cactus, then hit the tab key, go into face select, and if we select these 4 faces, and then go to select more or less, and then choose more, and it will go expand out 1, and then we can make a new material, and we'll just call this material flat black. And we'll make the base color black, and we'll make the roughness 1, and then hit sign. And then if we turn back to our modifier and turn that on, there we go. I just want to put some teeth in the mouth, so we're going to make a very simple cube for that. And we'll scale it up. So move it up on the Z, and then let's put it forward so we can see it. There's going to be a lot of back and forth and just moving it forwards and backwards until it's in the spot that you want. And we're going to scale it across, and then scale it on the Z. And we're going to move it up. And you can decide how big you want your teeth to be. Maybe you want just 1 tooth. And put it here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control and A to apply the scale. And then we're going to add a bevel modifier. So if you type in BEV, and then I want to reduce the scale of this quite a bit. And increase our segments to 3. And it just rounds it off nicely. Let's put a tongue in the mouth, and then I think we're done. So we're going to make a plane. Move it up. And you should be kind of getting the feel for this now. Working from very simple shapes, and then applying a subdivision till we get something that we're happy with. So let's add a subdivision now. And then we're going to put a loop cut in the center. And then I'm going to select this vertex and just pull it out on the G, on the X, sorry. And let's put 1 loop cut towards the back to just kind of square off that tongue. And then we're going to hit the A key, select everything, E to extrude it down. And I think we can get away with just shade smooth on that. And let's give it a new color material. So kind of pinky red color. See how we're looking. Okay, pretty cool. So let's give him a sombrero. So we're doing all of the cliched things. So Shift and A, mesh circle. Oh, let's pull it up so we can see it. And this has got too many vertices, I think. So let's delete this one. I'll make a new one. Shift and A, mesh circle, and set our vertices to, let's work with 12 for this. Doesn't really matter, but I like to work in fairly low res, so I'll scale it up like this, just so it's going to kind of fit on that space. We'll apply our modifier later. Let's work in low poly. So tab, E to extrude it. And then I'm going to scale this out a lot. So we're going to make the brim of the sombrero nice big over the top brim. E and S. So that should be E and Z, sorry. Then E and S to scale it back in again. And we're going to pull this down now. And we're actually going to put another edge in here. And hit G and Z to bring this down. And let's alt-click on that edge again. E and Z to move it up. And we should be able to scale it like this. Now, I'm not sure about the shape quite right yet, but we will fix that. So E and Z to move it, and we're going to round it off like we did with the top of the cactus before. And then if we just hit F to face it. So something's not right here. I think this edge, this needs to be, there we go, it needs to be more that kind of shape. Okay, so let's see what we've got if we apply our modifier now. Add modifier, search, subdivision surface, and you'll see that it's kind of the right shape, but it's bowing out, and that's because we haven't got an edge in here yet. So if we make a loop here and then put it pretty near the bottom, and then I want to put them on the edges here, and let's push one to the edge there, and just to be accurate, let's put them here too, and there we go. And if we just pull this down a little bit now, and then I like to rotate it on the x-axis, so it's a little bit more jaunty. Is that the word, jaunty? It's a word. Now scale it up a little bit. Can't really decide where I want this to go, but it's looking pretty good, I think. Okay, and then we're going to make a new material. Also, if we right-click and show smooth, that'll look better. And then let's make it a kind of light yellow, maybe? Let's go with something like that. It's kind of browny, pinky brown. That's color 1. Then we can do what we did before, and we can make let's make 3 edges in there. And then go into edge select mode, and we're just going to shift alt click on each of do that. Shift alt click on each of these, and then my bevel tool's already selected. If yours isn't, it's over here. And we're just going to pull that out. And let's use one of the colours we've already made. Maybe let's use the plant pot colour. And so on that. I think we've got stripes in that sombrero. It's looking cool. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to look at adding the spikes to the cactus, which we're going to do using a particle system like we did in the food truck tutorial. But I think that's a whole video on its own, so I will see you in the next part.